All right, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video. So in today's video, I want to begin putting the E92 back together because I don't really have anything else to do. I'm still waiting for a bumper to pop up at a junkyard or a part out or whatever comes first, and then the entire car will be complete then. But I at least want to assemble it since I don't really have anything else to do besides work on the X3. But there is a lot of parts that we have just kind of laying around. I just want to piece this car back together because I do want to get it out of my garage, pull in the X3 inside of here, get a head start on that one so we could eventually possibly sell these cars both at the same time, and then I can get back to working on my Stance E30 build or my V8 swap E30. So there is quite a bit of stuff that I need to put back onto this car. This is why I don't want to leave it for the very end, but there's a lot of stuff taken apart. Like when I did maintenance on the car, I never put back the engine cover, the plastics that go like above like the brake fluid reservoir, ABS, whatever, and then the one that goes on top of the ECU box as well. And then there's some few bits inside of the interior over here, like in the back seat when I was working on the airbag module, and never put that stuff back together. And then on the rear, I think I just need to get the trunk liner in, get those two taillights back in, and that's pretty much it for the rear. And then obviously we're still missing the rear bumper, but I wrapped the bottom portion of the trunk today, so literally the entire car is complete minus the rear bumper. So we're literally just waiting for that, and that will be pretty much it. But I'm gonna get started over here in the front. Just make sure that the fenders are lined up perfectly because that's gonna determine like our fitment on the corners of the bumper, and we want to make sure all that stuff is good. So I'm gonna figure this stuff out off camera, make sure that the fenders are good, and then we'll get to installing the front bumper as well as the headlights and complete this entire front end. Can't wait to see it. So let me get started on this real quick. I think both fenders should be good now. I just finished bolting them up and they look really good. They line up really well, so everything should be fine as far as that goes. The only thing that concerns me is that I remember when I was taking off one of the fenders, the top bolts that are right here are actually different, and I had these in a separate baggie for a reason, but I just forgot to write it down. But I think these bolts that I have up here actually belong to the top of the bumper and the headlights, so I might need to swap those over with some of these that I have extra. So really excited to see the front end of this car finally complete, so let's get started. Finally got the front end complete on the car, and it took me forever to get this bumper to fit. For some reason, like, I had some terrible fitment issues with this bumper. I was able to get it to fit, and it looks really good, so I'm not worried about it anymore. But damn, that really took a toll on me. I also got to detail the bay a little bit. It was just kind of irritating me. There's a lot of dust on it, so I just used some soap and water and a rag just to clear up like all the dust. Once I cleared up all the dust, I just used like gunk engine protector, and I just sprayed it on the bay, and that gives it that nice like shiny finish and stuff. Typically, I'll power wash it so I could get like all the grease off the block and stuff, but just wanted to do this like real quick. Now I'm gonna move on to installing the side skirt on the car, and then we're gonna do the trunk, install the taillights and stuff. It's really not that much anymore, and then it will just be like the interior, which the interior I'll just leave it for another time. I'm not really worried about it. I just want to get the car outside so we can get the X3 in the garage and we get to work on that thing. As you guys just saw, I got the E92 outside and we got the X3 inside of the garage so we could begin working on it. But today's actually the next day and we got some daylight, and I do want to show you guys the E92 because it looks really good in the daylight. So let's go take a look at it real quick. So there it is, the back. You know, we're still missing the rear bumper and everything, but it looks really good, guys. I took it out to the gas station yesterday and I took a picture and I'll put it up on the screen for you guys, and it looks so damn good. But let's check out the front end. Obviously, like, my most favorite part about this car, I think it came out really good. I'm honestly surprised on how good the headlights came out. I thought they weren't gonna look that good because the lenses are kind of hazy, but it honestly doesn't really look that bad. I think only that side needs a little bit more work, but it still looks really good. And I think this color really complements the E92 with all the black accents and everything. Black housed headlights came out really sick. But yeah, that's a little sneak peek of the car. I do want to do a full reveal video sometime soon when I have the car 100% complete. I do want to do like a cinematic and everything, so just to make sure you guys stay tuned for that stuff. But I mean, for the most part, the entire car is done. I just want to give you guys a little sneak peek of it. In my last video, I was telling you guys about the pre-LCI tint mod that you guys can actually do to your taillights to make them look like an LCI style. So I do want to show you guys that. So that is the before. Don't like the little like white stripe that it has on the right outer tail, so I went ahead and actually tinted it red, and that's one of the biggest differences from the LCI to pre-LCI taillights. I mean, you get the full LED kit, but I mean, you could get a very similar look just by tinting that. I got this roll of tint from Amazon for about 10 to 15 bucks, and you honestly can't really beat it. I mean, it looks really good, and it's probably the closest you guys can get to LCI tails without spending that much money. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys right now how to do it and just walk you guys through the process of it. So let's get started. First things first, let's clean up the taillight, just get any dust off or any speckles of dirt that we might have on the taillight. Now we're gonna use the masking tape and we're gonna go around like the clear area that we're gonna be tinting. So I just like to put it on the very edges of it, and I like to put 2 layers of it as we're gonna be running the blade through it, so we don't want to damage the taillight lens. At this point, it's ready for the tint, so just have a section cut out for that piece that we're going to be tinting, obviously that clear section, and then apply some heat to the tint and then just start working it around the taillight. Just get rid of any air bubbles or creases and should be good. Now, once the tint is all good and you have all the creases and air bubbles out, you can start cutting around the edges of the masking tape. Cut it very, very lightly, enough to where it's cutting just the tint or maybe just a little bit of the masking tape, but just don't go too deep in with the knife. Just enough to where it's cutting it, and it should be perfect. And that looks 100 times better in my opinion. I seriously cannot wait to have the rear bumper on there, because I think that's really going to complete, like, you know, the back end of the car. The last thing that I'm going to be doing is actually getting rid of this exhaust. I don't like the tips that it has. I do plan on going back to the dual tips, and I'm just gonna get like some polished tips from like Amazon or something and attempt to weld them on myself, so just be on the lookout for that. But for sure want to get rid of that exhaust tip. Before I end off today's video, I do want to show you guys the X3 and just give you guys a quick little look at what I'm going to be working on and just what kind of car I got myself into. So this is a 2010 BMW X3, and I just want to give you guys a little walk around of it and just tell you guys what's wrong with the car and pretty much what I'm dealing with. First things first, the driver's side fender and the driver's side door are actually different colors, so that leads me to believe that obviously at one point this car was in an accident. The wheel in the front isn't straight, it has a lot of camber. I don't know if you guys can see it on camera, but it's literally almost hitting the strut. I already took a look at it, so there's probably some kind of suspension damage, maybe a control arm or something along the lines of something being bad down there. So we got to take a look at that suspension. There is very, very minor wear on the paint. The clear is 100%. I mean, it has some scrapes right here on the bumpers, but that is literally about it. Like, the entire body of this car is immaculate, I would say. Interior is really nice. It just needs a nice little cleaning, but we clean it up, it'll look really, really good. It has 158,000 miles. Does have a clean title. So a lot of good stuff in this car. So now onto the fun stuff over here inside the engine. There is a few things that are going to require a little bit of attention. Obviously, we're going to give it the full basic tune-up. I already have spark plugs, ignition coils, going to do an oil change, all the basic stuff, obviously, when we first get a car. But when I first bought it, it was making a very, very loud, like, whining noise. And I had the same issue with the E92. It has a bad PCV valve. So I already know what the issue is, and that's exactly why I bought it. Pretty much what's happening when that PCV valve fails, there's a lot of pressure that gets built in the crankcase, and then a lot of that pressure starts getting released through the crank seal in the front, and it starts making like that loud whining noise, at least from what I read on the forums. And the PCV valve on these valve covers are actually not meant to be replaced. They're actually like onto the valve cover, but you can actually break them off and get a new one on there. So I'm going to try that before I buy a new valve cover. I'm going to be looking into that. It does have a check engine light. It's throwing a lot of like Van Os codes and stuff, so we might need to switch out the Van Os solenoids and just a bunch of little fun stuff, just basic maintenance on this car. But for the most part, I don't think the engine is really going to be that bad. I am pretty confident that I could fix it. I did drive it about like an hour from my house, so I mean, it's a good sign that this car is pretty good. The temperature stayed up really good, so I don't think there's anything too bad. It's just like when it's idling, it's like rough, and you know, it just has all those like weak symptoms of just like neglected maintenance. But I think we should be able to take care of it, and it really shouldn't be that bad. The only thing that does kind of worry me is going to be the wheel. Like, you literally cannot put a finger in between the strut and the tire, so there must be some pretty bad suspension damage there. But I did drive it an hour to my house, and it was okay. It was kind of hesitating, kind of pulling over to one side, so gonna look into it. Hopefully it is something very minor. I don't think it would be an alignment issue, but we can try taking it to the alignment shop. But I just feel like it's gonna be something a little bit more serious, like a control arm or just something bent on one of the suspension components, or we're gonna have to replace it. But it shouldn't be that much money going into that. There's a lot of these at the junkyard, so I'm definitely not worried about it. I just hope that it's nothing too serious to where I can't fix it and then this car is pretty much salvaged. But I have a high doubt about that. I think it should be something just, you know, fairly simple to replace, and you know, we should be able to line the tire back where it goes. So if that's something that you guys want to see on the channel and you guys don't mind some X3 content, just drop a comment down below. But that's gonna be the end of today's video. If you guys made it this far, make sure you guys give me a thumbs up, and just any feedback that you guys might have, drop a comment down below. I would greatly appreciate it, as I'm really trying to stay consistent with this and just upload every single week, and hopefully sometime soon in the future I can upload twice a week. That's gonna be like my ultimate goal by the end of the year. Other than that, just make sure you guys stay tuned with the channel with all the other projects that I have going on. If you guys are new, check out my other projects that I have on this channel. I got a lot of BMW content if you guys want to check that stuff out. But thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Later, guys.